Hi everyone, I'm Dinushki.
Hey everyone, I'm Jennifer.
So Jennifer and I both live in Cincinnati, Ohio, which is only about 4,400 miles away from Zurich. So not too far. Um, but we both conveniently work at the same company. It's called Unifund and it's in Blue Ash, Cincinnati.
And we also co-founded Her Data this year. And Her Data is a platform with a goal to empower and connect women in data. So if you've had the chance to look, we have a website and a blog, and many of the features that we've published this year are all about talking to various different women in the community, the data community, and also featuring different projects that have inspired us.
Yeah, and even though it's called her data, we don't exclude anyone. We could include anyone and everyone, but with a little extra glitter and sprinkle on the ladies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so to get started with our talk today, for today, we're going to be talking about our recent Christmas collaboration. And some of the steps that we are going to talk through are the inspiration for the topic, how it all came about, how we went about finding the data and the little, problems and not problems that we had finding it, creating the visualization, how we kind of separated our tasks and created the whole viz. And then, of course, why you should collaborate as well.
Absolutely. So, Dinushki and I, just a little background, we've worked together about 4 years and we have always been big about talking about food. I think that was one of the first things that we just bonded over. Of course, because Dinushki is a big foodie and a great cook, and I am not. And then at the time that we've worked together, she has introduced me to so many foods, most of which I can't pronounce. But recently we were talking about the holidays and the Thanksgiving and Christmas cooking, partially in part because she was trying to help me, I'm sure. But that's kind of what sparked our idea in this new project.
Yep. Oops, let me just change over here. Oops. Sorry. And then jumping into how we went about finding the data. This data set, of course, was not very hard to find. It was not challenging to find this data, which typically we don't say. It's always a problem to find the data. But it started off with a BuzzFeed article that we found that had over 25 different recipes from different countries all over the world. And that kind of jump-started our process. Then we split into two and found more recipes from other countries in the world. We even put out a little blip on Twitter asking people to give us their recipes so that we could include it in our visualization. But yeah, this process of finding the data was super fun, and we actually learned a lot about countries and recipes from all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And just kind of piggybacking off of that, speaking from the heart, I think one thing in terms of jumping into this data community, because maybe unknown to everybody that I'm talking with right now, I recently went through a transition of a background in HR, a master's in HR, and completely switched careers into this data community in Tableau. And I think one of my obstacles to really jump into the community was thinking that there was one way to do this. You find your data, you perfect your data, and you visualize it. Well, sometimes it just happens a bit different. Sometimes I see a pretty picture. Sometimes I have a topic in mind. It just comes about in a different order, and that's okay. Luckily for us, we instantly had this idea about cooking and spices and herbs from around the world, and we were able to quickly source the data. So just to kind of put it out there that there is no right or wrong way to go about this.
Yep, we all get inspired by so many different things. So without further ado, let's jump into the viz. Okay, so of course, Tableau Public must refresh. Alrighty. So here is our full viz. Our viz is called A Taste of Christmas, and it is focused on Christmas herbs and spices from all over the world. So a quick little rundown of our viz right here.
Yeah. So yeah, getting started in this project, we instantly thankfully we instantly know each other pretty well, and we know each other's strengths, which led Dinushki to be our map whiz. And I've kind of focused on the curvy bump chart at the bottom.
Yeah, so I only had to create about 20 different map styles that Jennifer finally agreed to. So no big deal. No, but I created this map.
She's kidding.
I created this. Yeah, I'm kidding. Maybe. I created this map on Mapbox, and it was really fun to dig into all the different things that you can do on Mapbox. And I've never created a transparent map before, so that was really exciting to do for this purpose. And then these lines on the map, I created them using Wendy Shija's method. If you're not familiar, Wendy recently wrote a blog post explaining how to draw lines on a map, and it became very popular, and so many people started using it. So I was like, well, I must use it too. So her instructions were very clear. They were easy to follow, really easy to understand, and it was easy for me to adapt it to my use case. And something fun actually that was a little challenging, but we overcame it. Like all of this is on one sheet, which is kind of exciting instead of layering so many different sheets under and under. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really, for me, really interesting to just understand once we were looking at all of these recipes and diving into the data. It was really interesting to just kind of coming from a non-cook to understand just how these herbs and spices are used. And so we have this bar chart that's representing how often and how frequent these different herbs and spices are used across the various different recipes that we've selected. So instantly I knew, okay, we need a bar chart. Right. But from there, I was really drawn to the idea of doing, the Sankey curvy line. Forgive me, I don't know the proper vernacular for this chart, but I knew instantly that was going to be my visual. I think it's a really fun way to show relationships between different items. And the method is something I've used before. And thank you, shout out to Kevin Flerlich, who I think is listening in. I know he wrote a fantastic blog post. If you haven't read it, it's about the curvy bump chart. Not only does he walk you step by step, but he has templates, and templates in Excel and templates for Tableau, which really helps not only just plug and go, but I think it really helps you dissect and understand what really is happening. So again, it made it pretty bulletproof, I would say. There are a few challenges, but that was a really fun project.
Yeah, so let's So so each dot here obviously represents its own country. And if you click on any country, let's pick Guatemala, for example. Okay, so when you click on the country, it shows you the ingredient that the recipe uses, and the green line goes to the herbs that are used, and the brown line goes to the spices. And then when you come down here, you're able to see exactly what herb and what spices are used and what the recipe finally is. So in Guatemala, the recipe that we found was for tamales, and they use oregano and cumin to make tamales. So if you have oregano and cumin in your fridge or in your spice rack, you might be able to make tamales.
Absolutely. And one of the other things that we built into this, if Dinushki, you want to show, is beyond just navigating down from the map, we're able to kind of see, garlic and the cinnamon and some of these different herbs and spices. Click on those, we're able to just see the span that they have. So I'm quickly guessing here, maybe about 50% of the recipes that we selected, you're using garlic. So that's great for me because I do love garlic. Not so great for me that I've never used fresh garlic and wouldn't know what to do with it. But if you have that in your home, you know that one of these recipes you could probably select. And then beyond that, from the bottom, you can select one of the recipes and it will do just the reverse. You can see what the herbs and spices are within the recipe. And then there's also a link to connect directly to the recipe and see the full step-by-step guide.
Yeah, right here, you're able to download all the recipes.
Yes, you
And
can also download all of our recipes in our Christmas cookbook.
yeah, we've done half the work for you guys already. So, Jennifer, what would you say your favorite part about this viz is?
Okay, being that I'm not somebody that knows how to do a map at this point, I've tried, but I've been a bit unsuccessful. I kind of think the wow factor for me, this is, I know I'm partial, but I love the map that you put together, Dinushki. I think the fact that you were able to achieve this all on one sheet, and then the ability to, have the dots overlaid on the lines really aided the play control that we wanted. We wanted this wow factor where you look at the map and boom, this bolt of lightning. And I think the way you put this together really was a huge, huge success. Yeah.
I think for me, my favorite part is the interactions within the whole viz, where you can click on top of the map and you have an interaction all the way down to the end. I think that was kind of fun. I, of course, love this like craziness at the bottom of the chart. I think you could not have done a better job with this. It's kind of beautiful. So yeah.
Yeah. And then talking about the challenges, we can't not talk about the challenges. Danuski, what was your biggest setback or challenge?
I think my biggest challenge was after we created the whole visualization, we were so pumped, we were so happy. We were like, okay, well, now we have to create the interactions that go from the top of the chart to the bottom of the chart, right? Obviously, because that would be perfect. And then we both look at it and we say, oh my gosh, we have two different data sets. So I have created my map and my own thing with my own data set, and Jennifer created this with her own data set. So there was no perfect link between the two data sets. So we got through it. We might have had to call a friend, but we got through it, and it worked perfectly. But that was definitely challenging, having two data sets. So I would definitely encourage you guys, if you're collaborating, to make that one data set.
Yeah, I think that was, when you're working by yourself versus collaborating, one of the biggest lessons. I think for me, also, one of the big challenges I had was, we're trying to work off of one file and phone a friend. Yeah, sorry, Kevin. I saw that. Love it. Thank you, Kevin. I think working off of one Tableau file, working off of one supposed Excel file was a bit challenging because, I would get a few minutes to be able to burst in and work on something, but, oh, I can't save. I don't know if she was in it or not. So certainly there are pluses and minuses, which kind of takes us into our next part.
I think we did that IKEA part pretty well though, because I knew, okay, at 5 o'clock, Jennifer's kids get home. So now I can get on the viz and work on it. But at 7 o'clock, I need to get off because her kids go to bed and now she's working on it. So I think because we were able to communicate between us well, it so happened to kind of work well together.
I totally had to get you on my kids' schedule. That's all it was.
Yeah. So now that you've heard a little bit about our favorites, about our viz, we'd like to talk a little bit about why we think you should collaborate. So one of the first things that we noticed or we took away was learning to work together. Typically, you're working by yourself if it's a personal project, or you're working on a dashboard for work. You're by yourself. You make the rules. It's your way or the highway. You make the colors. It's all your decisions. But now there's someone else's opinion coming in. They may disagree with you, and some little bit of yelling back and forth.
Okay, I have to stop you. I feel we're joking, just so everybody knows. Totally joking. No, but absolutely. I think I love working with Dinushki, and I think we have the benefit of it was such an easy collaboration because we knew we could push each other's buttons a little bit. We knew we could assert our opinions. And I think it really worked well that our styles just mesh. She would try something that I wouldn't try. And I think, honestly, I learned so much on this because I think to be inspired, to be creative, you have to surround yourself with creative and inspiring people. It fuels all of us. It's just that gut wow. Okay, well then, whatever I said, that's
Okay, so the next takeaway was shared knowledge. It was really interesting because I have never created a bump chart. So it was interesting to see Jennifer work through that bump chart using Kevin's template and kind of putting her own twist to it. Just watching her was really inspiring for me because I had never done that before. And I think when she was watching me work on Mapbox, she was like, "Oh, what did you just do? Show me that again." So it was really nice sharing our knowledge, and that's obviously a huge benefit.
And beyond the Tableau and Excel or Mapbox knowledge, I think it was equally fun that Dinushki took me on a tour of her spice rack. I'm not trying to be self-deprecating here, but I had no idea what some of these spices were or what they even look like. I have a salt and pepper shaker and maybe some garlic and cinnamon. I really do. But it was really fun because it just kind of opened my world to kind of all these other herbs and spices. I might just try to make a sauce and throw them all in there. I don't know.
Yes, I did take her to my spice rack and I was like, okay, this is cinnamon, this is cloves. And she was like, wait, what is a clove?
What is the star one called? I don't even know, but a lot was learned beyond just Tableau.
Yes. The next reason we think you should collaborate is because you have twice as many ideas. Typically, it's just you in your own little bubble. You have seen a picture that inspired you and you're just going. Now you have someone else's ideas. You have twice as many creative juices flowing. And I think that really helped this process a lot.
Absolutely. And I think I loved all of the ideas. I think one of the things that was kind of a challenge in that light was, okay, we have a deadline. If we could go endlessly, we probably would. Better?
You're good. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry. Yes. I'm so sorry. I think that the challenge of that was we had so many ideas that we could go forever. I think having that deadline kind of, we couldn't put all the sprinkles or all the glitter that we maybe would have, but it was certainly a lot of fun.
Yeah. And then, of course, our outcome was so much faster. We had to do only half the work almost. Typically, if you know me and I have an idea and I start a personal visualization, I never finish it. So it was really nice to have someone else to join the bandwagon and us finish it together, and so much faster. We might have had to recreate the entire viz yesterday, but let's not talk about that.
I'm sorry. Yes, actually, I love that we're emphasizing faster outcome because there's that accountability. I'm the same. I think a lot of people, you get inspired, you jump into a project, you get moving, and then you go, no, I'm bored. And so I tend to do that, and it's only maybe 1% that I actually put out on Tableau Public. So having that accountability and pushing each other, and yes, the rebuilding of it the day before. But listen, you learned so much by your mistakes. Had we not blown this up yesterday and had a jam session in 5 hours to rebuild what we did in 2 weeks, I know this inside and out.
Yeah, and of course, it was a super, super fun experience. At the end of the day, we really loved what we did. We loved talking till 10 o'clock in the night, trying to figure out a calculation. And then maybe we didn't even figure it out at the end of the day, but it was still really fun and enjoyable.
Absolutely. And at this point, my boys know Dinushki as the person in my computer, and they ask for her at bedtime now. So it's been really fun. So yeah.
Yeah. So thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, we're happy to take them. Do we have any questions?
Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. Again, I hope maybe Annabelle, we should start a collaboration.
Yes.
We should. Friends will think about it too now. But you definitely gave us the taste of it, and it sounded like you had much fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're ready for project number 2. We're probably just going to take a little break for a while, but we're ready for project number 2.
You know, we have always open spots for the next Data Plus Women sessions for speakers.
When's that?
And if Jennifer is not nice with you,
Oh,
please
we're so
collaborate with
joking.
me.
I swear to you, I'm a nice person. I think my internet cut out when I was trying to plead my case, but I swear, we're joking. Kind of.
We have a question from Kevin, but I'm not sure that you can answer live to this very tricky question.
Oh, that's really funny. In the last photo, are you saying, did my internet time out? Is that what you're saying?
Last photo.
No,
No,
I
he
don't
was
know.
asking what we were drinking in that last question.
Oh, I was not looking at our slide. Yeah, we may have had some mimosas. We had a lot of fun. So for her data launch, we may have had a fun afternoon one Saturday and went down to the park and took a bunch of pictures because both of us were needing out of our dwelling at home, and yeah, we had some mimosas.
Do we have any other questions?
That was an easy one. I like it.
So I think we have another question.
Yeah,
We do.
Vince asked you, Jennifer and Dinushki, just embodied joy so completely. Please do a simple question so I can pronounce it with my French. How have you both kept the energy, the positive energy this year?
You know, that's on, I will speak to the heart from that one because that's something Dinushki and I were just talking about. It really has been a challenging year. I think we both are very positive, laid back people, but I think the isolation, we've been both working remote since March. It is challenging, but I think I'm grateful to our company. I'm grateful to have a wonderful team. We get on Zoom calls probably 4 times a day. And I would love to see the numbers on how many hours we've spent on Zoom calls, because I just think being able to talk to each other has really helped us. But 2021 is going to be a really good year, so let's not worry.
Yeah, before the pandemic, when we were in the office together, Jennifer and I would somehow she would creep into our office area and be like, "What's for lunch?" or something like that. So we're always kind of together. So it was hard not to be able to do that. So it was, being positive was definitely a challenge, but I think we still, I don't know, had a lot to drink and had a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think that's the funny thing. So in Unifund, I worked in HR, and Kevin and Dinushki were in our BI team and analysts. And I just kind of find ways and time and excuses to constantly be down there talking to them. And so I think it's kind of one of those things, you speak things to fruition, but you also have to visualize it. So I kind of wanted to make myself seen, like, look at me, could I be on your team? So let it be so.
We have another question, I think, from Lisa. She's asking, I'm the only Tableau creator in my workplace. Any ideas for collaborating with others when I work mainly with confidential data? So I think if you are trying to get out of that bubble of working with confidential data, then definitely there are so many people in the Tableau community that I'm sure would love to collaborate with you on any topic. But just definitely put yourself out there and talk to people, send them a creepy DM, it's fine. But just, yeah, networking and talking with people in the Tableau community has never been a problem, and I'm sure you'll be fine. I mean, heck, here we are. Collaborate with us.
Absolutely, Lisa. I will say, I don't know how active you are in the Tableau community, but I feel still like a newbie to the Tableau community. And from the outside perspective, it felt like everybody knew everybody and everybody's a Zen master and I don't belong. But I think that just finding a topic that you love and get to know somebody, spend time chatting people up, connect with people in the community. I promise you, it'll be far less intimidating the more you just throw yourself into it. You have to immerse yourself totally.
I think also, if I can comment on this one, we just need to detach from the data, right? What you look is for a certain visual, for a certain solution, and you can do that with whatever data. So somehow, if it's really confidential, it's not very complex to change the title and do put something that is meaningless, change a bit the figure, because at the end of the day, when you have issues, it's more, how can I visualize this principle different? So I think on my side, I have some time to exchange or so on this, and it's confidential information, and I just play with this, right? I'm just rebuilding another set very quickly and just saying, here is the principle of the info. How can you help me? And you can still go through without exchanging confidential information, to my perspective.
Absolutely. And I have worked with HR data as well, Lisa, a lot before coming into the role that I'm in now. And I think the one project I posted to Tableau Public was a Strength Finder. Our organization, everybody completed the Strength Finder evaluation. So I got permission from Jeff Schaefer, who is our COO, to change the names and to completely change the data set. I just made up some names, so it's really funny. But that way I can showcase what I did with using non-confidential information, if that helps too.
We had one more question. How much experience do you have with Tableau, Jennifer and Dinushki? I have been working on Tableau for about 4 years now, but most of it, like if you go to my Tableau public page, you'll see not a lot of visits, because most of my visits, most of the work that I do on Tableau public is at work and business dashboards. So it's not beautiful and exciting, but yeah. And then Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, what was it, 2-3 years now? I feel like I have two timelines in Tableau, because I think there was a period of time where I was just kind of playing with it. We were like dating, me and Tableau, because I come from a very heavy Excel background. I know Excel inside and out. I feel really good about Excel. And then Dinushki walks in the door and she shows me Tableau and blows my mind, because I never really understood that there's this visual, there's this story that you can tell. It's not just about the numbers on a spreadsheet. But anyways, heading to it, I've been using it probably for 3 years, but I think taking myself serious and actually trying to put my head down and learn it, it's been more of a year.
Yeah.
That was a long-winded answer. Sorry, that's me.
All right, thank you so much for answering all the Q&A. If there's still some questions, or if there's anything which is still open, you can stay for a few minutes afterwards for the networking event, and then just text us if you want to get in touch with the speakers. So that being said, we are already at the end of our sessions. So if there's anything you want to share with us, if you're interested in speaking for the next event, and we already have plans for the next year, so please feel free to get in touch with us. You can visit our hub page as mentioned on the slides here, or just follow us on Twitter, or just text us on LinkedIn, whatever channel you prefer. And with that, we want to say thank you that you participated in this event. Thank you to the amazing speakers. I definitely feel inspired, and I'm ready to start a new collaboration with someone. So thank you for that. And of course, because we are in December, have a very nice Christmas break. Merry Christmas, and almost, I can say, a Happy New Year. And all of you for all your effort and passion and sharing this with us.
Thanks for having us.
It was fun.
Thank you for coming. And if people want to stay, we will promote them as panelists. So just raise your hand if you would like to stay, and I will allow you to talk. Otherwise.
It was fun. Does everyone know how to raise their hand? I don't even know how to raise my hand, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know either how you raise your hand.
Oh, I see. Somebody did. We're going to learn Zoom together.
Regarding business.
Apparently, Vince knows how to raise his hand. Vince, I allowed you to speak. Now you can unmute yourself and speak.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hello.
I cannot explain how excited I am to see you guys and to get a little bit of the energy that all of you bring to this. It's a really cool thing to be a part of.
Well, thank you. Thanks for coming and listening.
Of course. I wouldn't miss this. You know that.
You know, I didn't want to make any assumptions, but we are glad to hear that you guys stopped by. And then for anybody that did miss, of course, we're recording, so we're excited to be able to share that. And I think we did have a couple of other questions. I don't know if we answered, and I don't know if they're still on. Was it Maria? I don't know how to raise hands.
Someone asked, after this inspiring talk, I'm very curious, do you have another collaboration or project on your wish list? Yes, definitely.
I'm going to answer for her. Yes, we do. 2021. It's not happening before the end of this year. What's funny, I don't know about anybody else, but I think you kind of have these ideas in your mind. And like I said in our talk, I tend to shelf a lot of things because I'm like, I don't really know where I'm going with this. And it's funny, this collaboration has kind of brought back ideas that we may have had, or I may have had earlier on in the year. So hopefully more to come.
For sure. Another one, Maria asks, regarding business dashboards, what stops you do artistic dashboards? I think there is, I don't think it should stop you from being artistic and creative on business dashboards, but there's definitely a fine line between a public dashboard and a business dashboard. You kind of want to make your business dashboards easy to read, quick to understand, and for someone that is not data related or someone that's not, Tableau fluent, to be able to get the important points quickly. So whereas someone that is very much active in Tableau, they are so interested to look at all the lines and the cool designs, and they have time to sit and check the whole thing out. So I think that's kind of where the difference comes in, but definitely don't let that stop you from being creative on your business dashboards.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I take a dear appreciation for that, because I think being artistic means a lot of different things. And I kind of come back to my background in HR. And if I threw a Sankey in front of my HR director, she'd probably just look at me with a dead face, like, what are you doing? I don't know what this is. So I think the audience really is key. But that's where I think Tableau Public is so much fun, because we can throw out all the glitter that we want and, digest it for as much and as long as you want. And then the people that don't appreciate it, just keep scrolling.
Yeah, and I think also for me, I always think about it, the first reason I think is time. Time is money, and we are asked to do stuff quick. The second reason is also that we need to send a message through the data, and sometimes it can disturb a little bit also. Yeah, if it's not the standard colors and stuff, you don't go as quick. Now I played a lot with it. Actually, originally at the beginning, my boss was making presentation really high with my analysis, and I had fun to put a little cow that was eating grass in the middle of it. Each time I was talking about an index, which is actually a grass index. So it was really for making them represent it. And actually, at one moment, one of the very high people came to me. I was like, well, what's going on? And said, you're the girl with the cow that eats grass, right? and he told me, we have so much fun, because on his slide of your boss, we're just waiting this one when it's coming. And it was funny, because actually 2 hours before, my boss came and said, now I got this cow with the grass, you cut it. Finished. I don't want it anymore. And actually, I think for me, I told him that it works, because actually the only game was here to bring attraction to that level of information. When you have 150 slides in a whole day, you need a bit of distraction. So that's a bit for me how I play a little bit with the design. I think it needs to be nice. Otherwise, it's also you you lose it, but at the same time, you need to not distract too much, because at the end of the day, they didn't concentrate it on really that index. They concentrated on that cow and bring them back to the conversation. So for me, it's really something where we have to play. And unfortunately, business don't let us time often to have the nice design we would like to have, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a question for Agathe. I had done a project about a year ago in the realm of commodities trading, and specifically in derivatives trading. And one of the things that we struggled with was how to approach sort of storytelling with some of this data, because so much of it was purely kind of, you know, market analytics and numbers driven, and we found it kind of hard to tell a story in that. Is that something that you've got any kind of advice on? Like, how do you tell a passionate story in something that can seem dry for a lot of people?
Yeah, I think actually it's for me, it's more around my experience and the talks that I have around, because what you have to think is that behind any of those curves, there is actually a lot of stories, right? In general, any price movement, as I said, behind is supply and demand. So why did it went up at that moment? And then you have a lot of stories. The big question everybody asks himself also is, now are the price controlled, influenced by funds and speculative money, for instance? And there you can really show how it goes up, how it goes down. So I would say you have to dig yourself behind this figure first. But actually, it's quite amazing that then also, for instance, there were moments where you have the Euro USD, the Euro with the British pound really moved heavily one day and really strongly. And actually, it collapsed, if I recall correctly. And we found out in the market that actually it was most probably a Chinese trader that kind of didn't sleep on his computer, because normally there is some security, but if you really go into the detail of it on the second case, that you really see a tremendous order was given, and this created a full movement in the market. And ultimately, it attracted attention between the value of the pound and the euro. And then you started to have, I think, the French president that commented the next day about the Brexit. And then you started to have so many people starting to build a story around this single issue in the trade, that then if you have all the investors and all the traders starting to look at that, they started to really have a discrepancy in the price and continuing to have that moment. So you could really see the jump, and then correction because it was not normal, and then actually going there because the story was there. Funny story, because for me also to read in the press and then see people commenting when you really know what was behind is quite impressive. So I would say it's a fantastic word, actually. It's a fascinating word because it's so much linked behind. Also, a lot of those trades sometimes are just mathematics. So in a way, you look at the curve and you do curve analysis, and a curve analysis actually don't work because we know what is going on in the curve. It works because you have enough people that look at the same analysis at the same moment. And then as you want to counteract this analysis, actually you start to bet on the other side. So I think for me, actually, naturally, I'm really passionate by it, mostly because of the story that are behind, actually. And often it's never where you think just people that want to buy or sell. Same way when I saw the birth of the futures market for the dairy, what happened is that suddenly the buyers realized just by doing a contract in this exchange that actually they just exchanged a volume with a cheesemaker while we are purchasing dairy powder. But the cheesemaker needed an edge, and at the same time we needed on that side, or remember, to sell or to buy. And suddenly we could work together and do a deal while we are completely in other kind of business. Cheese is not the same as butter. So yeah, I think if you miss inspiration on this, just come back to me, tell me which one, and I will find you the story. Really, behind it's people. Behind any of those is people. And if it's electronic trading, it's people again. If it's open interest versus daily volume, it's again people taking decision. That's why you have so many stories behind. And I could continue for hours, honestly speaking.
You have the perfect job for you. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. But why did you look to tell story behind? What was your target actually?
In that project, we had a team of traders who were very, very familiar with all the nuances of commodities and derivatives trading, and we were trying to offer insights of that analysis to a broader community of people, including people who weren't as familiar with that end of economics. And we were trying to identify specific storylines and ways that we could tell that story emotionally to get people invested in what we were doing with the data. And
Okay.
we ended up being successful at that, but it was definitely a challenge to overcome for people who might not be familiar with them.
Okay, I think there are two elements, because now I get a bit more your point. The first one is that I think it's just nice to say to people that actually traders are, to my perspective, a bit arrogant and liars, in the way that they are talking with words that nobody understands. The spread, the vanilla, the auction call, option put a call. I can tell you so many words. At the end of the day, what a trader do, he buy at a certain level, he sell at a certain level, and he hope that when he has bought, it's lower than the level he has sold, and vice versa. The trader job is just this. And I think that's always how I bring back people's attention to it, because I tell them, actually, you will be surprised. And this, I have seen it also personally very often, when somebody comes with a nice strategy and tell you, I buy a call, and at the end of the day, you just look at him and say, okay, but what was your goal? When did you buy? When did you sell? What was your target? And then you can find some people a bit dismantled, because very often, honestly speaking, it's a huge strategy behind. It's very simple. So that's the first element that I think I bring back. Also, people, don't be scared. Don't really be scared, because actually behind is super simple. The second element also is to extrapolate that actually you always think it's a world of speculator. And actually, the worst speculator on earth is the farmer. Because who is putting in the ground, investing in a tractor, investing in the land, putting a seed in the ground, not knowing how much he's going to sell it, and waiting for 9 months that then it's produced, and then he realized at which price it is. You know, in the business, we all have factories, we try to sell ahead and according to the charge that we have. Only the farmers is speculating that much. And since that there is futures market, he's able, at the moment when he decides to put the seeds in the ground, to already sell it and then control his cost. And I think it helped a lot just to say, actually, everybody, you are more speculator than those people. They are just securing themselves. So this kind of little element bring you back to more reality. But I think the biggest one on the trading is really to actually force people to break the wall around what is behind, because it's any strategy I have seen, the most complex with options, trades, multiplicator, at the end of the day, you buy and you sell and you hope to make a margin in between. Finished. Hope it helped.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else from the participants or attendees who want to speak up? No?
Okay, so I think that we can close the event if no one wants to speak up. Thank you very much, Aga, Dinushki, and Jennifer. It was like fantastic event. I think that we closed the year like very beautifully. And we will send out the recording, and we hope that we will see each other soon to eat chocolate with Agathe. To speak about
in a balanced way, huh?
Yeah, don't worry. I can eat 1 or 2 tablets per day. It's not a problem. And with Dinushki and Jennifer about Tableau soon, maybe on the Tableau conference. Who knows?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining, and see you next time. And don't forget, speak to this event to all your friends so we can increase audience and bring us new speakers. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Stay safe.
Bye.